This afternoon we're sitting in Black Betty, and I wanted to talk to you about the dark side of engine building. There is a dark side, and I've been there, and I want to talk to you about what I've seen. There are two major components to uh, what I call the dark side. One is mental, and one is physical. So let's talk about the mental. I don't do this for a living, and so my level of confidence is low when I'm doing this kind of work. I constantly need to be reassured. I need to look at the internet. I need to do different things to verify that I'm actually doing the right thing as I'm going through the process. And I'm not used to having a low confidence in some activity that I'm doing, and so it's an uncomfortable process. I don't like it, but it is a nature of what I'm doing. The other piece would be the pressure to be successful. There's several reasons that I feel pressure to be successful. One of them is because you guys are watching, and obviously I don't want to fail and have to kind of redo the work, and or even show that I'm less skilled than I think I really am. The other one would be that there's so many channels as you watch different shows. You'll see engine masters, you'll see people building engines, you'll see them working in a clean room like environment, taking measurements, being ultra precise, balancing crankshafts. And it's a little disgusting because that's not the reality that all of us live in. And I realize that there are probably a lot of those people, you never see their failures because they don't make it to the camera. They're unwilling to show you the time that they flattened the cam lobes, or that they had a leak that just kept on coming back over and over again, or that the engine failed 5,000 miles down the road. So we never get to see that, and so as a result, it portrays a picture that's not accurate for us, and it puts pressure on. It's self-induced pressure, but it is pressure. The other piece of the mental would be second guessing myself. I spend a lot of time just kind of saying, "Oh man, is this right? Is this too loose? Is it too tight? Am I doing this right?" Self doubt, self doubt, self doubt. The pistons fit a little bit sloppy in the bores. That bothers me a little bit. But again, it's it's just there's got to be a little bit of a. You can see and it's a little scary, but it's also part of the reality that we don't have all the stuff, and so we have to take some shortcuts, and are those shortcuts going to come back and bite us? And so that's something to think about. I will say, when I was probably 17 years old, my sister's car needed an engine rebuild, and my best friend and I, we took it on. And she only had a certain amount of money. She bought the gasket kit, she bought some piston rings, and we went in there and we opened it up, and lo and behold, the pistons were just swimming in the bores. The bores had a huge ridge on top, so that meant that it needed to be bored, and it needed to have oversized pistons and rings put in it. We kind of considered what to do. We knew that we weren't going to be able to pull it. We were doing it in the car, so we didn't even take it out. We just took the heads off. We didn't do the bottom end. We just did the top end. But we ended up just first of all, to get the pistons out, we had to cut that bore out, and we had to cut a lot out to get those pistons out. But we weren't going to get new pistons, so we ended up taking the old pistons and putting them in there with oversized rings on them. So a standard bore piston with oversized rings, and they went in, and the car ran. We had made a performance modification to the car while we were in there. We put a glass pack on the car and eliminated the catalytic converter, and it sounded interesting, to say the least. It sounded like a Cessna, I thought, when she would be coming down the street. But it was what we did, and it worked. And she drove it until she wrecked it, which a year down the road or whatever. But it worked, and so I think that in a lot of cases, engines are a lot more forgiving than we give them credit for, and we have this idealized image in our mind of exactly how everything needs to be perfect. But I remember reading in the Grapes of Wrath, when they were going to California, that one of the rod bearings went out, and they poured another one on the side of the road and trimmed it by hand and fitted it and continued on the journey. And so I think engines are a lot more forgiving than we give them credit for. So that's the end of story time. So then the physical things is really just the equipment. I don't have all the stuff that a shop would have, and then I don't have all the experience using all the stuff that a shop would have. So there are limitations, and it's really about resources and not having all the stuff. Another piece that I think is a little bit frustrating is working with used parts. So we can't have all new stuff. We're not sponsored. We're not we don't have some sponsor giving us new parts, and so we have to make do with what we've got, and we have to find the things that are worn out and replace those things and clean up the old parts and put them back together. And that actually can be fun sometimes. You can lose yourself in it, but then other times it gets to be mind-numbing. Right now, my fingers won't even work on my fingerprint detector on my phone because they're so dinged up from scraping piston ring lands, and so I mean that's a hazard, but I mean it works, I guess. I'm getting it done. It's a slow process, but yeah, it's a little bit mind-numbing. Well, I think I know why people pay money to have engines rebuilt, because it's a pain in the ass. Knowing when you take a shortcut whether it's critical or not, often you don't know, and so I'm guessing that this 302 that I'm building is going to be fine. I'm going to build it. It's going to be better than it was when I started, and I'm going to be driving it and enjoying it. I'll never put it on a dyno like they do on the TV, on YouTube, but I will be able to tell from my seat of the pants exactly what I built, and I'll know that I did it. I'll know that it's because, and I did it because I'm cheap. I mean, I'm cheap, but I also like to learn. I also like to know more, and so I like to be developing all the time. An example of something I learned was how to measure my mystery cam. What you do is you measure at the base circle, which is the smallest point of the cam, and then you measure at the tallest point of the cam. And those two measurements, one subtracted from the other, gives you your lift at the cam. But that's not all the lift. The rocker arms have a ratio, and in my case it's 1.6 to 1. So you multiply that lift by 1.6, and in my case I ended up with a 480 lift on my cam. So if I was to shop it out, which I have been to the point of thinking about it a few times, and then the money always stops. But I don't want to spend that kind of money to get this engine running. I think I can do it myself, and I'm going to do it myself. When you shop it out, you really lose control of the product, the final product. I mean, you're relying on a guarantee that it's going to be good, but you don't know. Every organization, every company, everything, everybody, there's a bell curve of humans that exist in every organization, and they're at the bottom and at the top and in the middle. And so if you happen to be getting your engine the day that their worst employee is working on it, you may end up with a clearance that's too tight or too loose, and you may end up with a shorter life than you expected to have, and you don't have any control over that. It is what it is. I mean, and the reality is you'll probably get blamed for the assembly work you did, or for installing it, or the first fire up, or not doing everything exactly right, and you'll still be in the same place you would be if you were the one that made that mistake. So why spend a bunch of money? Why not learn yourself? And so I guess all of this to say that I'm glad that I'm doing this. I'm not always thrilled because it's taking a lot of time, and it's slower than I would like, and I can't just push the button and be showing you a burnout video. I don't know if I'll do that or not, but anyway, that's the reality that I live in, and so I'm gonna keep working on this. I've got it completely torn apart. I built a bathtub for the engine block that I'm gonna be scrubbing that thing. I'm gonna be cleaning all the. I'm gonna control what I can control. That's what I'm gonna do. And cleanliness of the engine block and assembly of the engine block is what I can control. I'm gonna try to do that to the best of my abilities. I'm gonna seal gaskets like they need to be sealed. I'm gonna replace parts that need to be replaced. I'm gonna put it back together, and we're gonna run this thing, and you're gonna join me, and we're gonna have fun. So I just wanted to share with you what I consider to be the dark side, and I've been having a few dark moments as I've been going through, and so but I know that persevering will get me the result that I want. So thank you for watching.